Foundation Africa Growth Fund, and Aruwa Capital Management. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be talking today about the impact of, can you see our videos? The video is not up. That's what I'm getting told. Is the video live? Okay. Okay, so welcome to this webinar, talking about gender equality and job creation through SMEs in Africa, and the impact that impact investments are having in sub-Saharan Africa. We have a very esteemed panel of leaders across various sectors. So I'll just give the panelists an opportunity to introduce themselves and the organizations that they're representing as well. So I'll start with Natalie, and then Priya, and then Timi. Natalie, over to you.
Thank you, Adesuwa. My name is Natalie Casey. I'm the Chief Business Officer at Koolboks. I'm based in Paris, but active in our businesses across sub-Saharan Africa, primarily in Nigeria. And what we do at Koolboks, our mission is to make sustainable refrigeration affordable and accessible to everyone who needs it. So we do that by designing solar refrigeration systems that are also integrated with a payment technology. And so we offer asset financing to mostly small businesses and primarily women-owned. Maybe I can hand it over to Priya for her introduction.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, afternoon. My name is Priya. I'm one of the founding members of the OmniRetail team, as well as I head the product side of the supply chain of OmniRetail. I've been in Nigeria for the last 10 years, and my Nigerian name is Chioma. And at OmniRetail, what we do is we drive access to essential goods, as well as access to finance for retailers across the FMCG value chain. I'll hand it over to Timi.
Thank you, Priya. I'm Timi Oke, the Chief Executive and co-founder at AgroEknor. AgroEknor is an impact-driven agribusiness focused on transforming the agricultural value chain here in Nigeria for increased global earnings. Our business is based around three models, which is impact-driven backward integration, tech-optimized value chain improvements, and efficient delivery to global markets. We've been in the business for 11 years now, and we have a sales presence in about 14 different countries. I'll hand it back to Adesuwa now for follow-up questions.
Thank you, Timi. I didn't introduce myself, so I should probably introduce myself as well. So hello, everybody. I'm Adesuwa Okunbo Rhodes. I'm the founder and CEO of Aruwa Capital Management. Aruwa Capital is a growth equity, impact and gender lens fund that invests across critical sectors of the economy in West Africa. So these are all of our some of our portfolio companies, 3 of 10 of our portfolio companies, and we're very excited to talk to them about the impact that their businesses are having across job creation, across enabling of micro SMEs and women in their value chain, and also across gender equality, and how the investment that we've made through Aruwa has helped to amplify that impact that they're having. So let's go into the discussion. So my first question will go to Timi and Natalie. So both AgroEknor and Koolboks have both received not only initial investment, but also follow-on capital from Aruwa. So what has been your experience when applying for investment from us? Maybe we could start with Timi and then move to Natalie.
Okay, thank you, Adesuwa. Interesting question. Prior to Aruwa's first investment in the business, we were in a talking stage with Aruwa for close to 2 years, if not more than 2 years. And as you can imagine, almost every emotion that I could experience, I went through that period. Those periods of excitement, periods of impatience, and at some point, I got a little bit grumpy on a few DD calls. But going through that sort of robust due diligence from Aruwa, it built competence, it built character, and then it built competence. It provided me with the opportunity to dissect our business plan and then see blind spots and also opportunities that we hadn't seen before. But with due diligence questions, the sort of type that everyone came with, we were able to look into our business a little bit more thoroughly. And what we found out as well is, the next time we were raising the follow-on capital, it got a bit easier because we were able to understand every aspect of our business. We're pretty much able to look at the business inwardly and outwardly. And with the Aruwa relationship, one important aspect was beyond money. Aruwa brought empathy on the journey they were embarking on with us. And then we quickly figured out that they were going to be helpful beyond the financial investment that they were making. So that in short has been the summary of how we started and then the follow-on. So the follow-on was much easier than the initial investment. There was still a lot of questions about the growth objective, but it was easier as we went along. Thank you, Adesuwa.
Thank you, Timi. And Natalie, it would be great to hear your experience as well.
Yes, thank you, Adesuwa, and thank you, Timi, for sharing that experience. I think some of the comments that you made also resonate. I do remember in our initial DD sharing with the team, we received a DD request with 111 questions. And so when you say that it was quite thorough, I think I can relate to that, especially in the beginning, but it's quite understandable. Likely similar to you at AgroEknor at Koolboks, we were in the very early stages, and we had been discussing with Aruwa and other early stage investors, and felt a lot of those same frustrations because there are so many unknowns and uncertainties, and really the approach from Aruwa was to ask a lot of questions, really understand the business, but beyond the 111 questions, it was really getting to know the team, understanding the vision, understanding the capability of the management team to execute on our vision, especially at those early stages. And really, it started to be the beginning of building trust together. And I think that alignment is so important. And what we really appreciated in the interactions with Aruwa, with the Aruwa team, was the understanding of the markets that we are serving, both the opportunities as well as the risks associated, and then trying to see if there's a kind of a good fit for us to partner together. So I would say yes, and the first time around, there was a lot of fact finding, and as well kind of building that first rapport and relationship. And then I think that set us up for a very good next round of financing, because we had then grown together, through the challenges as well as through some of those great opportunities that we found following the first investment. So it did make it a bit easier, but I would also say it kind of gave the team more confidence to continue that working relationship together.
Great. Thanks, Timi and Natalie. And yes, I remember those early days and the 111 questions. But yes, I think it set up a very good foundation for us to, build trust in the team and subsequently invest more capital. Okay, another question that I have and this would be for everyone, is, Aruwa Capital is a gender lens fund, where we want to invest in businesses that are either female founded, female led, or where a significant portion of your value chain helps to improve women's lives. So how has the Aruwa Capital investment helped to improve gender diversity within your respective organizations? Maybe I can come to Priya, and then I'll go to Timi, and then I'll go to Natalie.
Surely. So I'll start by saying that with Aruwa Capital being on board, it's really challenged us and pushed us to ensure that we have the right metrics in place, the right tracking mechanism in place to keep a continuous eye on the impact that we make in terms of, having gender equity, and the laser focus on that lens has helped us drive that. Since Aruwa came on board, we have an increase of 20% in our senior management and our board of advisors as well, who are now who are females, and also in terms of driving impact for retailers. Our retailers have grown by 17% growth in terms of businesses that are led by women, which brings us today to a total of 78% of our retailer audience that we serve being women. Of course, this is us getting started. There's a long way forward for us to increase these numbers drastically. But yeah, what we're the happiest about is working together to have the right impact metrics and tracking mechanism to have this continuous growth. Yeah.
And before I come to Timi, Priya, it would be good to just get a sense of your total retailer network, so that people can really see that impact,
Yes.
right?
Right. So our retailer network is 144,000. And so 78% of that is a little over 100,000 of these retailers being women. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's so phenomenal, right? Because these are female-led micro SMEs that are getting access to digital tools, that are getting access to capital, that are able to monitor their inventory. So that impact is just enormous. So yeah, we're very happy to continue to support OmniRetail. Tibby.
Thanks. So the impact of Aruwa in terms of gender equity in our organization has been end to end. So in our business, prior to Aruwa, there was actually no female board member on the board seat, which it was something we're not proud of, but we just didn't do anything about it. And I remember Aruwa coming in and said that, this has to change. And we were like, yes, we agree. So from the top of the organization, what we've seen was we had about 20% increase in women representation on the board. And what that did was, it's pretty much expanded the scope of decision making, promoted diverse perspectives and inclusive decision making, because as an organization that has over 1,000 agro processors working for us, now that we have female representation on the board, we can see how decision making impacts every aspect of the organization. And beyond, the board participation of the female members, there's been about a 23% increase of women in senior management roles in our organization. There's been an increase of female aggregators that we source from through FEED, the Female Farmers Empowerment and Education Program. We've been able to empower over 1,000 female smallholder farmers, supported by donor funding, which Aruwa Capital partnered with us to help secure. So end to end, across every layer of the company, since the Aruwa investment, there has been an increase in gender equity. There has been an increase in inclusion. And to be honest, the increased amount of women participating in decision-making, in operational activities, that has been a comparative advantage for us as a company, because the women we've empowered, the women we've invested in by providing credit capital inputs, they've gone above and beyond to drive the tremendous growth that the organization has enjoyed over the past 3 years. So yes, it's been end to end, from the board to senior management to the smallholder female farmers. No one has been left out, since the Aruwa investment. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks for that, Timi. And I think it's a great example of gender diversity and equality across the value chain of the company. And I think with the phenomenal growth that we've seen in AgroEknor, it's actually really adding to the business case that when you take this seriously, there is a bottom line effect. It's not just something that we're doing for charity or as a rubber stamp. it actually really has helped to accelerate the growth of the business. So thank you for sharing that. Natalie, over to you.
Thank you, Adesuwa. At Koolboks, what I really find that rings true with the investment from Aruwa is that it sets an example for the organization that gender equity is valued. To date, we've recently formed a new board, and 2/3 of our board members are women. So we see from the board level to the senior management, where we have 2 as well C-level executives, and then that kind of trickles through the organization where having female presence and leadership is the norm. And I think that that's a great norm to set for Koolboks as an organization. Now, following the investment, we are looking at ways to better serve our female customers. So they make up nearly 70% of our customer base. And we know that they have unique challenges in running their own small businesses. And so with the investment, we're now looking at different ways to support our customers in helping them to make their businesses more prosperous and profitable.
Thanks for that, Natalie. And I think Koolboks as well is another great organization about gender diversity across the value chain, because it's a female co-founded business. We have great female representatives on the senior management team. We have a very gender diverse board, but also the customers, as you mentioned, is 70% are women. And these are typically micro SMEs that are led by women in off-grid areas where Koolboks is able to provide them with power and affordable energy. So again, another great example of gender diversity across the value chain that us, ourselves at Aruwa, we love to support, and we love to invest behind businesses such as Koolboks. So the next question that I will ask is, how has Aruwa's investment impacted your local community and your industry in terms of job creation? So job creation is something that it's one of our key impact pillars. And because we're typically providing growth capital to help businesses like yourself scale up to that next point of growth, we always see an increase in job creation. So it would be great to see from your different organizations how jobs have been impacted. So maybe we can start with Priya.
Surely. So I believe going beyond job creation, for us, it's been about driving the real impact for retailers. One of the key things we've been able to achieve is giving a digital financial identity to the retailers that we work with. And that's enabled them to access working capital like never before, rather than going to banks, standing in queues, gathering documents to say that they have some sort of security against the kind of credit that they want to access. It was a challenge that we've been able to solve in a very unique manner in terms of being able to utilize their transactions and the business that they do day to day and turn that in sort of an armor in terms of a credit history, a credit score, and give them access to working capital. For us, we've been able to proudly do that for approximately 50% of the entire retail network that works with us. And again, that's around 75,000 retailers. So it's been a massive impact that we've been able to create in that manner. Secondly, in terms of the indirect impact as well, I will give a specific example of, and it's our favorite example within the company. There's this lady who started as a warehouse operator for us 3 years back in one of the fulfillment centers operated by our partners. And it's been a 3-year journey where today she actually owns 7 different vans, and she runs as a logistics partner with our company. And she's been able to do that with, putting together her savings and also seeing how the logistics partners that work with us run their business. And it's been learning on the job and growing on the job that's got her there. And for us, it's success stories like that that go beyond, what you see on pen and paper. When you interact with these individuals and you see the impact we've been able to drive, that's very resonating and very motivating. Yeah.
Thanks, Priya, for sharing that. Wow, that's amazing. From being a warehouse manager to being a logistics powerhouse. Amazing. We love to hear those sort of success stories. And you're right, those type of stories can sometimes get lost, but there's a real impact on the local community as your businesses thrive and as your businesses grow. You're able to provide opportunities for people in the value chain that they otherwise probably wouldn't have had access to. So it's great to hear stories like that. Natalie, maybe we can come to you in terms of how the investment has impacted the local community and the value chain.
Yes, so similar to Priya's examples, we work with micro retailers, and they are benefiting from significant cost savings after acquiring our products. We estimate an average of a 40% reduction in their energy costs from switching from a diesel-powered generator system to a solar solution. And what that means for them really is that they have improved profitability in their businesses, and this has a direct impact on their livelihoods. So it's really rewarding to see the impact on the small businesses and the women customers that we serve. And many times they would not otherwise have access to credit. So it means that we're providing them as well a form of financial inclusion through the acquisition of one of our products. And I wanted to maybe as well address the question around jobs. While our solution isn't directly creating jobs for those customers that we serve, in order for us to reach them, we do have a team in place that's been growing since we started that due diligence a few years ago with the 111 questions. I know another figure that we could share from that time was we had 11 employees, and now we've added nearly 200 jobs, primarily in Nigeria and as well in the new countries affiliates where we're expanding.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it's been great to witness the significant growth that Koolboks has been able to achieve in the last couple of years since our investment. As you said, it was just a team of 11 people, mostly in Nigeria, and now having operations in Kenya and Uganda. Yeah, it's been phenomenal to be a witness to that growth. So well done to you and the team. So Timi, yeah, it would be great to also hear from you in terms of the impact on the local community. I think AgroEknor is really pioneering supporting local communities in different ways. So very, very keen to hear from you.
Okay, Adesuwa. So I'll start first of all with our own AgroEknor employee community, which were the first set of people who were impacted by the Aruwa investment. And as AgroEknor was bootstrapping prior to Aruwa, and even though we made payroll month to month, one of the first wins for us when Aruwa came in was being able to provide extra safety nets and rewards for our full-time employees, and also ensuring their sustainable job security. So, I mean, the first positive impact was to our own employees, and the peace of mind that you can meet payroll obligations for them in the medium term. And when Aruwa also came in, they held us accountable to bring forward sustainable innovation and also increased productivity and profitability for smallholder farmers we worked with. And prior to Aruwa, we were sourcing from about 500 to 800 farmers When Aruwa came in, we had to increase productivity, and that meant we started to source from about 3,000 plus farmers, and that's increased income to about 3,000 farmers. A lot of the farmers as well had issues with warehousing their products. So what you would see is when they harvest, about 30% of their product was destroyed due to, improper warehousing and just poor storage facilities. One of the first things we did was to also invest in warehousing at key farming communities. And we call them collection sites. And even farmers, when they brought the goods, we could store it for them. And prior to when they decide whether they were going to sell it to us or not, we're able to sort of provide them with warehousing opportunities that reduced spoilage and also increased income to them, because less goods were being spoiled. Beyond that as well, with Aruwa's support, with the support of Medan, ESP, we were able to build, a private coalition that improved access to farmland for a lot of our female farmers. We had a lot of female agro-processors who also wanted to go into agriculture, but they did not have the technical know-how. They did not have the right extension services. We were able to drive technical assistance to them. We're able to provide extension services to them as well. And that sort of impact, because most of them come from, agricultural families. And when you empower one person, you're essentially empowering 5 people, because it extends to every member of the family. So, we went from 600 farmers to about 3,000 farmers. We went from 90 agro-processors to about 400 female agro-processors. And we're still growing, because in conversation with Aruwa, they would say, okay, why can't you even still make that 2,000 agro-processors? But yeah, they held us accountable, for impact-driven initiatives, which we've been able to do. They held us accountable for sustainable farming as well, And we knew about climate action, but we were not intentionally taking decisions and making efforts toward it. But with the Aruwa investment, we've been able to pay more attention, to climate action and empowering farmers as well to grow the hibiscus and their crops in a sustainable manner. So that's among the ways that Aruwa has supported us. We've been able to also invest in impact-driven initiatives that has benefited the agriculture value chain we're operating in and the communities we're operating in as well. We recently built a fumigation chamber, and it's pretty much one of the first of its kind in the community where we operate in. That has provided a lot of jobs for people who work in the agriculture fumigation chamber. And just due to the increased level of productivity the investment has brought, we've been able to hire more hands in logistics. We've been able to hire more hands in carrying and forwarding. And, we used to operate from 2 sites. Now we operate from about 9 different sites. So beyond the people who come to work in those sites, you find out there are a couple of people who come to sell packaged water, packaged drinks, and little snacks. So you see a lot of people come and resume. And these are not even people employed by AgroEknor, just food vendors. They come and resume at our sites. They sell to the staff that are working there, and they earn income from themselves and their family. So it's been a very robust impact since the investment. Thank you. I think so. All right.
Thanks, Timi, for that. Can you still hear me?
Oh, yes, we can. Yes, I
Okay,
can.
great. Thanks, Timi, for that. Thanks, Timi, for that. I think those were very valid and kind of robust examples of some of the initiatives that you're doing for the smallholder farmers, for employees within your organization, and even the indirect spillage that it has in the community that your processing facilities within. So it's great to be able to see the level across all of your businesses. I think that's what gets us excited at Aruwa. is that we know that the investment spills beyond just your organization. It has such a significant impact in the value chain. The families that you mentioned, you empower one farmer, you empower a whole community. You know, the family that is directed, that is linked to that farmer, has improved livelihood, improved chances, improved access to education, healthcare. So when we talk about the impact, I think sometimes people may just look at numbers on a page, but these are families, these are people that are directly benefiting from the organizations that we support. So it's something that we're very proud of when we hear these stories. So thank you for sharing. So another thing that I'd like to touch on is just the value add post the capital. And I know you touched on it briefly, but it would be good to kind of hear examples from you guys. So other than capital investments, what other kinds of support have you been able to receive from Aruwa? Maybe I can come to you, Timi, on this.
Okay, do we have enough time for this? Because there's been quite a few value. But yes,
let's just summarize.
Yeah. So my co-founders and I, we don't have a finance background, right? We had a non-finance background. And at the time Aruwa joined in, we were just coming out of COVID. So we were, first of all, in a little bit of a jam with a commercial bank loan that we were taking on and wasn't doing so well. And I remember very correctly, the Aruwa team led by Adesuwa, they went above and beyond on the loan restructuring negotiations. And that was even prior to when they invested, and we were like, these guys have not even invested yet, and they're helping us with all this Excel shit, seeing the best way to restructure it. And we had a running joke then in the company that, we owe this Aruwa team some advisory fees because they helped us to restructure that loan. They helped us to get some waivers as well through CBN, which is the regulatory bank. And, that was one of the first value adds they brought, helping us sit with the bank at the time and just restructure it in a way that made sense for us. Prior to them as well, we had a lot of challenges with our farmers because there was no financial inclusion. So a lot of them didn't have bank accounts, a lot of them didn't have wallets, and it was just cash. So they didn't have a savings culture. Paying them, was a little bit hard, and we tried to get them to open banks here and there, but there was no success. And I remember at the time, with the support of one of Aruwa's portfolio companies, Fair Money, they were called Crowdforce at the time, were able to kickstart a strategic partnership that allowed a number of our commodity buyers, a number of our farmers to open wallets and bank accounts with Fair Money. And I know that every time we had one or two challenges, we would run to our Aruwa capital and say, look, can you get Fair Money to deploy some POS operators closer to our family communities? And eventually that worked out. So what we've seen is, we've seen a 20 to 25% financial inclusion rate among the farmers we currently work with. And I see a lot of them now when they come to meetings, they're checking their PayForce app. And I'm like, these people that were a bit stubborn earlier on about opening bank accounts. So that's been one of the ways they've added value. Beyond that as well, we had a bit of a challenge deploying an ERP that we really liked called Odo. So prior to that, we had tried twice without success. And I know the Aruwa and ESP team introduced us to a service provider that, eventually coordinated the overhaul of our ERP. And then now we've deployed Odo that has sort of optimized operations. And I think one of the final things, that I would add before I let the next person speak was access to farmland. Access to farmland has always been an issue for female farmers, but working with ESP and Aruwa partners as well with men, and we're able to work with cooperatives, and we're able to go to community heads, and just because of the sort of capital and donor funding we're able to secure, and Aruwa supported us with securing this donor funding 2 years in a row. So we're able to, close the access gaps for that community, and quite a number of our female smallholder farmers now have access to farmland. So I'll stop there now and just let the next person go ahead.
Thanks for that, Timi. Thanks. And I think we always say that to really be successful in investing within the SME space in our markets, you really have to provide more than capital. And some of the interventions that Timi has mentioned is something that we do across most of our businesses, where we want to ensure that we're strengthening the finance function, because we strongly believe that finance is really the heartbeat of operations, and you really need to get finance right to get operations right. So helping to implement accounting systems, helping to fill in gaps where you need to hire certain CFO, financial controller, internal audit, that's something that we support on. But we also support with commercial activities as well, like, whether we need to raise capital, restructure bank debt. So I'm glad that you mentioned some of those interventions, Timi, because yes, it's very important that as investors we're providing ongoing support, not just the capital. Okay, another question that I have, and this one is for Natalie, is what key lessons have you learned from this experience of raising capital, and if there are any tips. Actually, no, key lessons. We'll save the tips for Priya. Key lessons that you've learned.
Yes, thank you very much, Adesuwa. At least my personal experiences, this is the first time that had a role where I was raising capital for a startup. So there were a lot of learnings along the way. And if I were to maybe take a step back and think about like what are the key ones, I think alignment, as I mentioned earlier, is so important. So not only being able to convince or present your business in such a way that is attractive to potential investors, but really trying to understand if that's going to lead to not only an investment but a true partnership. So we've heard a lot of examples today about how Aruwa has partnered with portfolio companies, supported them, and centered around this mission and this support for women-led businesses and businesses that have women in their customer base. So I think that alignment is so important, especially in the early stages, because then as well, it helps for startups as we're going through these ups and downs. I think Timi mentioned some of those in the beginning. That alignment really is important for the support for celebrating the wins, but also supporting when there are some challenges. And secondly, just generally, I would say that the value of the network is something that I've also realized over the past couple of years since starting this journey, with investors, with Aruwa, with other investors, but also with the greater ecosystem. So being part of a company that has such an important element of impact, and that's really something that is driving all of us on the team. There are so many stakeholders that want to support us, and I've just been humbled by all of the support and outreach, and the importance of just keeping those networks active with investors, with other founders, and as well with the greater ecosystem.
Thanks, Natalie. Thanks. We're running out of time. I actually lost track of time because I was enjoying our conversation so much. But I want to give everyone an opportunity to just tell people about future plans. So that's going to be my last question, and then I'm going to open it up for Q&A from the audience. So if everyone can just tell us, we've heard a little bit about the impact you're making. We've heard a little bit about your journey with Aruwa so far. But what do you have in store? What does the next 12 to 24 months look like for your businesses? So maybe we can start with Priya. It would be great to hear about outlook.
Sure. So the first thing is delving deeper into Nigeria. In terms of we've done the step of building the railroads for access to goods, access to working capital. And one of the next big things we want to work on is also helping our retailers to make their businesses more sustainable. finding new ways to helping them gain more revenue, and to build businesses that last very long. Second is in terms of going beyond Nigeria. We're working actively towards expanding into West Africa and some of the other Anglophone as well as Francophone countries. And lastly, we're also looking to deeply into partnerships. One that Aruwa greatly helped us with is the partnership with Mastercard Foundation. And similarly, quite a few others that help us drive financial inclusion, access to working capital, and really sort of build a larger vehicle that drives an impact in the space that we're working on and in the entire ecosystem. And lastly, to do all of this, we're also actively adding great talent to our team that can help us achieve the dreams that we have in store. So yeah.
Thanks, Priya. Thanks, Priya. We're excited about the future for OmniRetail for sure. I think OmniRetail have managed to kind of set themselves apart from the competition in what has been an interesting space to watch. But we're very, very glad that OmniRetail has kind of emerged as a leader in that space. So very excited to see what you have in store. Timi?
Thanks, Adesuwa. So, the global floral industry is predicted to continue growing over the next 3 to 4 years. We're expecting it to hit a $1.4 billion industry by 2028. And AgroEknor, we've invested on the back end. We want to continue to pioneer sustainability in this industry. We want to ascend to market leadership in terms of volume and value traded. We want to be the #1 hibiscus producing company in the world. We want to invest in diversification. We want to invest in concentrates as well. On the back end, we know that AgroEknor plays quite a huge role in socioeconomic development in the farmer communities we currently operate in. We want to continue to contribute to creating jobs. We want to continue to contribute to reducing poverty and also improving domestic food security. One of our key assets are the number of farmers in our outgrower scheme. We want to keep empowering them to produce hibiscus and also produce other staple foods. Fonio is one food we're looking at because it's very climate resilient. It's quite the crop for the future. We're going to keep investing in that. We also want to keep promoting gender equality. If I didn't say that, I know Aruwa would hold me accountable for that. So we're going to keep promoting gender equality. And yeah, just we want to lead innovation in this industry while leading the superfoods trade sector in volume and value. And we would keep prioritizing inclusive partnerships. We will keep prioritizing technology deployments to increase the yields. We want to keep precision farming is the future. And through the support of Aruwa and other partners we've worked with, we've been able to invest in a precision farming system. We want to keep optimizing that. We also want to reduce waste in the value chain. About 35% of food produced in Nigeria is wasted. And that cannot go on, especially at this time where food security is an issue and a challenge. We want to be able to reduce that, at least in the hibiscus and fonio industry, to less than 5%. And while growing our revenue and providing value for all stakeholders, from investors to employees to the people we work with as well. We will keep exploring our expansion into other agricultural commodities, and hopefully we can increase the production of hibiscus domestically, the production of fonio domestically, and we won't rest until an AgroEknor product is in every continent and every country on every continent in the world. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Timi. We love the big ambitions, and yeah, we know that you continue to impress us. So a metric we always like to tell everyone is AgroEknor has grown by about 85x since we invested. So Timi is being quite humble, but yes, we're very excited about to continue to see the growth. So Natalie, yes, please tell us what's in store for Koolboks.
Yes, at Koolboks we're in the phase of growth. So after just recently closing this last round of funding, we're now embarking on our growth plans, primarily centered around growth in Nigeria, expansion in the country. And so we have a strategy to set up business units across the country to serve the different metropolitan areas. And that will mean a lot of team building and execution for the Koolboks team. As well, in Nigeria, we are starting to move from importation of finished goods from China to a local assembly. So we will start to build that assembly in Q4 of this year, with the intention to invest in the long term in Nigeria, and as well enhance our capabilities for what we've identified as the largest market for us in sub-Saharan Africa. It also will help us bring our costs down, and that directly impacts our mission to make our products more affordable. So big plans around capacity building in Nigeria in particular. Although we do have plans as well to enter new markets. So part of our expansion means having a stronger foothold in East Africa with our presence in Kenya and Uganda. And we've identified other key markets where we would look to expand our business model and replicate the success we've had so far. Finally, I would say on the technology side, we're looking at enhancing our IoT. So it's a platform where we see a big opportunity for us to better understand our customers and potentially in the future offer them different types of products and services. Things like looking at remote monitoring and predictive maintenance, as well as understanding renewable energy consumption for potentially accessing the carbon market. So many areas where that data collection will be of value for the company. And so that's a new technology that we'll be rolling out in this next phase.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a very exciting the leveraging that IoT technology and rolling that out to other manufacturers. I think is something that we're very excited about. So I'll say, yeah, watch this space. Koolboks is coming. So thank you so much, everyone. This has been such a great discussion. I want to open it up to the audience if they have any questions for our panelists on, you know, their growth trajectory, the impact that they're having, their business models, how to secure funding from Aruwa. We would love to hear your questions. So please send them in. And we will try and make sure that we answer them. As we're getting in questions, I guess one question that I can also ask is with regards to tips. So as we wait for the questions, maybe we can ask Priya, what tips would you give to maybe entrepreneurs in the audience that may be looking to, you know, get access to impact investment?
All right. So I'll share one of the things that have really helped us, and which is when looking for funding, don't look for just the financial amount that is needed today, but really have great clarity on where do you see yourself in your business in the next 5 years, right? And what that means is, what's the value you intend to create for your customers? What's the value you intend to create in the ecosystem? And of course, what's the value in terms of profitability? But why that is super important is so that it helps in identifying the right investors who are going to get you there, who share the same impact story, who share common goals in terms of, you know, being as excited as you are about the ecosystem that you're in. I'll share the Aruwa experience for us, and why that has been so amazing is in terms of, as an investor, I think Adesuwa, your team has been very accessible, very flexible, and you've literally opened your network to us, which has been phenomenal in terms of building on partnerships. Like I said, if you're clear about what you're going to do next, then you know the kind of people that you need in terms of partners, in terms of talent on your team as well, and look for investors that are going to help you by exposing their network and helping you build yours at the same time. Also, look for people who can be very candid with their feedback, can be very constructive in terms of saying, hey, this is where we think things might not be heading in the right direction, or here are things that you can do. And I think lastly is people who help you build the right metrics and making sure that you're staying true to your impact, finding a real way to measure that and putting a tracking system in place. So yeah, I think in 3 words, look for true venture builders, is what I would say. Yeah.
Thank you, Priya. That's valuable advice. And yes, I think you can't grow what you don't measure. So being accountable to your metrics is how you make it, how you make the impact sustainable, so that it's not a fluke or one-off. Okay, we're getting some questions. So one is, what are strategies for surviving the current economic climate in Nigeria? So maybe I can give that one to Timi, who has quite a diversified revenue base, and also has some good FX hedges in his business. So maybe Timi, what are some strategies for surviving doing business in Nigeria in these times?
Thanks, Adesuwa. I guess the first thing would be to protect your cash flow, right? Because you want to have that sustainable cash flow that can help you, weather any shock that comes in. You have to diversify your investments. You cannot rely on one product. You cannot rely on one service as well to help you through this sort of climate. I would also say, you have to cultivate banking and capital relationships. This is the sort of climate where you just need to survive and ride it out. And, we've seen this happen at different points in time. And those who stay alive, they tend to flourish afterwards. So cultivate relationships with capital providers, banking relationships that can help, that can support you whenever there's working capital gaps. It's a no-brainer that you have to cut costs and you have to avoid unnecessary expenses. And technology is the future. So any part of your business or corporate strategy that is not investing in technology, you're setting yourself back. You're pretty much running your hands tied. So, cultivate capital relationships, banking relationships, protect your cash flow, cut costs, do your best to boost operational efficiency and operational precision. Because with this sort of climate, you can't, every decision you make operationally has to be precise. You cannot mess about with it. So that would be my advice. And then, as always, you should focus on your customers, And use LinkedIn as well, because opportunities come to you on LinkedIn in this climate. So spend more time on LinkedIn than any other social media platform, And
that's true.
Yeah, because you can never underestimate the power of community. It's just entrepreneurship sometimes, it's a tough road. And just the comfort of community, the comfort of people you can share with in times like this, and just the comfort of being able to assess opportunities with them and learn from them as well. It would be very helpful.
Yeah, I think that's very valuable advice for sure. I think in this environment, a diversified revenue base cannot be underestimated. I think all of the businesses on this panel, either they're exporting their goods or they're operating in multiple countries. OmniRetail is in Nigeria, it's in Ghana, it's in Ivory Coast. Koolboks sells its product in, I think, over 18 different countries. We have to make sure that we have diversified revenue sources in this environment. But as Timi said, as you're able to survive this period, the businesses that survive will come out more resilient. the businesses that survive will come out thriving when hopefully we get out of this phase that we're in. So we're at the top of the hour. So I think that takes us to the end of this amazing webinar and amazing discussion. Thank you so much to our panelists for taking time out to tell us about their business, tell us about how Aruwa Capital has supported their growth to date, and also the amazing impact that they're having, not only within their business, but also across their value chain and across the communities that they're in. So we're very excited to have been able to showcase a select few companies from our portfolio, but we hope that you will read our impact report where you can learn about more companies that we've supported. And we're excited to continue to tell these stories across West Africa of how providing capital to SMEs can have such a significant impact, both at the job creation level, both at the gender equality level, but also within communities. So thank you for joining us, and we hope that you have the rest of the day. Thank you to my panelists. Thank you to everyone that joined. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.